So I started doing Kroger, and I got really good at Kroger, so I started, once I started seeing what was doing well at Kroger and what, I could branch out on, then I could, okay, this is doing well. So now their sales cycles run for 2 weeks straight. So now I'm not only hitting the Kroger that's right next to me. Now I know I can go hit all the Krogers around me in like, a 30-mile radius, but I know exactly what I'm going for in the store. So that Kroger run is, in and out kind of thing, not me scanning the whole aisle.
Hi, and welcome to Your Selling Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Kirk, aka Your Selling Guide. I'm a small-town girl who took a big risk and quit a steady corporate desk job to travel the U.S. in an RV. Along the way, I started selling on Amazon, grew a 7-figure business, visited all the lower 48 states, bought a farm, and today I am still doing what I love to do, selling on Amazon while helping other sellers do it too. Each week, I will share Amazon tips and tricks and bring in guests to share their stories, expertise, and tips on the platforms that they use. Think of this as a sit down with your Amazon bestie where you can learn, ask, start, and grow your online selling business. Welcome to Your Selling Pod. Today, I'm super excited because I have a YSG community member here to interview Stacy Ray. Now, Stacy is a mom of 5 from Texas, and she's got 4 kids that she's currently homeschooling, as well as selling on Amazon and another side part-time gig. She is a hustler, and I'm excited to have her on the show today to tell you more about her journey on Amazon. So, welcome, Stacy, to the podcast.
Hello, thank you.
Now, I did tease a little bit about you in the beginning in the intro, but why don't you tell us, how did you get into Amazon selling and what did your life look like before all of that? Well, tell me more about you.
Okay. All right. Well, my life before that, I've been in management pretty much all my life. I worked for companies like UPS, Rubbermaid, and most recently, like the past decade or more, I've been actually doing deal writing, and I was a managing editor for a website that does all kinds of deals and stuff like that. So I'm on the other end of the spectrum of what I'm doing for Amazon right now. Honestly, there was an episode of Shark Tank where I heard the word arbitrage and I was like, what is that? And I went and looked it up. And then through a series of events, we needed to start finding like a side income. So I was like, I'm really good at finding deals because of my work. I'm going to see if I can combine that with the arbitrage and try to start selling stuff on Amazon. And that's where it all came from.
That is so crazy. It really does work hand in hand because you work on a deal site and now you know about the deals and so you're able to buy them and source them for Amazon. So that's really cool. When did you start selling on Amazon?
So April 17th of 2022 was the very first time I sent in an Amazon shipment. So that would be, I guess, my start date.
Nice. And then do you consider yourself full-time Amazon or part-time? I know you do have another side hustle,
right?
So I guess.
I did. It was Amazon was my side hustle from basically April to December. And December, I kind of reversed that order. So Amazon became my full-time thing, and I still kept a side hustle just to make sure I had steady income because I am a sole provider. Did you hear my Amazon cha-ching in the background?
You just got sale.
Right. So Amazon became my full-time thing back in December, like December 4th, I think is when I switched over. And then my side hustle became, just a steady income on the side. That actually started in January. So, yeah.
So now you are homeschooling, is that right? So you have kids at home as well?
I do. I have 5 kids. I've got the 25-year-old is graduated from homeschool. We actually graduated him with the homeschool. So he's gone. And then I've got 4 at home. I've got a 13, 12, 6, and 4. And I've homeschooled them all the way. I couldn't imagine doing it any other way. And I somehow am able to do that with running a business and a side job. So it can work.
Oh, obviously you're making it work. How does that look like? Like, what does a day or a week look like for you?
So right now I'm doing, it's chaotic. Right now I'm off every Monday, and we do like co-op adventures with groups of homeschool families where we do like enrichment classes and stuff like that. So that day is all about the kids, except for I come home and pack up FBM orders. Pretty much Monday and Sunday are like all about family, all about the kids. Tuesday, I work my side job like 7 to noon, and then I go out sourcing for the whole day, and my mom comes over and watches the kids and helps them with their schoolwork. Wednesday is another busy day. I do 7 to 12 for the, sorry, you probably didn't want this much detail, but
No, it's fine. I like it.
yeah. I do the early morning for my side job. Then I jump off and I spend a couple hours with the kids because honestly, you don't need an 8 to 4 for homeschooling. It's not like public school where they're having to always line up or go to the bathroom or do this. I mean, they have their whole day to them. So actual school work where I'm focused with them, it really only takes a couple hours in the afternoon. And that leaves me a couple hours after that to get everything packaged up for FBM or do whatever Amazon business stuff I'm going to do from like, I don't know, 2 to 4, where I work on that and get my stuff to the post office before 4, because my post office is like 3 minutes away, but it closes at 4. Then I come back home and spend time with the kiddos. And then I do a lot of Amazon stuff in the evening too. Like once I put them to bed, starting about 8 o'clock, I start going back to Amazon to work on bookkeeping or packing up an Amazon order, whatever else, we have to do with all of the Amazon stuff. Yeah. So that's a typical day.
I mean, that's good. You have everything chunked out, and that's what I'm learning. I mean, I don't have, kids or anything like that, but I have to chunk out my time. Otherwise, I'll just get sidetracked and the day is gone. So it sounds like you're kind of the same, that you have purposes for each time block, and you take time off, which is awesome because you definitely need some time off.
Yeah, it really, for sure. Yeah. I definitely, I'm probably, I feel like a lot of Amazon sellers have a little bit of attention deficit.
Yeah.
So the chunks of time, they actually do help me out. And I do chase squirrels. I do end up doing stuff that I'm not supposed to be doing during that time chunk, but it is pretty slotted out. And then, like I said, I go on Tuesdays. That's all for sourcing. And then typically my Saturday afternoon, when my youngest two go over to their grandparents, I do a lot of sourcing on that day.
So do you do retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, a mix of both, or?
Primarily retail arbitrage. It is a little mix of both, but I mean, I would say like maybe 85-15, maybe even 90-10 retail arbitrage versus online arbitrage.
Nice. That's like similar. That's how I am too. But then the difference I know from just chatting with you earlier is that you prefer FBM over FBA. Is that right?
I do. I have, that's probably about the same split. I mean, I'm trying to get more into FBA just because I do want to free up more of my own time. So I do have time with the kids and stuff, but I don't know. At the very beginning, there was a lot of control issues. Like Amazon lost one of my orders, and I had to, I ended up getting regated in something. Like I checked it. Everything was good. I sent it in, no issues from Inventory Lab. And then they sent it back saying, you're not able to sell this. So I had to pay to get my own stuff back, which just really irked me. So that pushed me into the FBM world more, where I wanted a little bit more control over my stuff. And then I just stayed there. I found niches that work. Since I am retail arbitrage, it's so easy to purchase stuff and put it on and see, hey, is this going to sell? Like some of my stuff literally sells out of my cart. Some of it sells, as soon as I get home, I'll have sold all 20 or whatever I bought. And then, I can go back and get more. And now I can go to, all 15 of those same stores around me. So for me, I've really liked it. I like the quick results. It is a slower payout on Amazon, which stinks. But I like the quick results. I like being able to play with it a little bit more. So if I know that, hey, this bundle I just got to test out sold really fast, I'm going to go hunt down more that are like it. While this stuff is still like a loss leader at the store, I can do that. So anyway, I'm probably like 85-15 FBM to FBA, and I really enjoy it.
Nice. Yeah. Did you start doing the FBA, or did you start with, FBA or FBM? Which one did you start with? I
did. I sent, and I'm going to segue for just a second. FBA is what I sent my first shipment in on April 17th of last year. And I started out doing all FBA, but then I had those couple hiccups where they lost like a whole box of mine. And then there was one, there was honestly, this really like perturbed me, but there was a $3 clearance find I found at Kroger, and I got a few of them. That must have been a hard to find toy for Jurassic World, because it ended up selling for like $60. And they lost, first they said I was gated in it, which it didn't show me gated when I sent it in. So that really bugged me. So I had to recall them, but then they said they couldn't find them. So they just ended up in Amazon, Bermuda Triangle for 7 months. And then just maybe maybe January of this year, all of a sudden they found them. So I was able to sell them, for the 60. I think I sold them each for 65 and I had like 3 of them. That whole thing with like losing my stuff, having to pay to get back my stuff, just the lack of control. So I started out with FBA and then quickly like, let me try FBM, and I fell in love with it.
Nice. So I don't know, maybe some listeners are the same as me, but I was terrified of doing FBM mostly because I just didn't know what I didn't know. And there's like fear of the unknown. Were you scared when you started, or did you just kind of like, you're just so mad at Amazon, you were like, nope, I'm doing this.
Right. It was a little nerve wracking because I know one of my first big chases was honestly some Dr. Squatch soaps that I randomly found on clearance at Walmart for $1 a bar. And at that time, Dr. Squatch was fairly a new presence on Amazon, and they were still selling for like $17 a bar. It's dropped now, and they're sending out IP alerts. So don't go chase Dr. Squatch. But but that was one of my first big chases. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go see if I can find these at other Walmarts for, I ended up finding a whole bunch I found one whole end cap for $3. I mean, so wow. That was nerve wracking. I found out a lot of stuff with that because those were shipping out in envelopes. So they were super cheap to ship. But there was sometimes late at night where like the shipping would be like $15. I'm like, what is going on? And I found out Amazon truly has glitches on their shipping at night. Where sometimes, really? Seriously, it does. Like they'll shut down the UPS discount because they're updating something or syncing. I don't know what they're doing in the background, but I found all this stuff out. So that was the most nerve-wracking stuff for me because I was so worried that, what if they had chosen that they only wanted UPS or only wanted you? And I found out none of that stuff was true. Like literally the next morning, it would be back to, I could ship it on USPS for $3.93 or whatever. But the night before, it wasn't showing any of that. There was a little bit of nerve-wracking stuff with it, but honestly, I'd ship a few things via eBay. I wasn't a big, heavy eBay seller, but it's really similar. So it wasn't too daunting for me.
That is interesting that you say that about Amazon and the time of day, because I have noticed if I ever do a shipment, and this was back when I used Seller Central to do my shipments. I currently use Inventory Lab, but when I was using that, I noticed that if I went to like sync it where it would say where everything's going to go, if I did it late in the evening, it would say one thing, but if I did it earlier in the day, they would go completely different. And it's so weird. And I had noticed it over a couple of times. So I really do think there are things like that, because the same with the shipping, I've seen it where I'm like, wait a second, why is it this? And then I always will like log out and log back in and see if it changes. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it's just a person in Wyoming who can't get the post office mail. So it has to go.
It's something about Wyoming. There's been a couple that like that where they come back in California, like up in the mountains. There was one I actually did ship to the guy. Like it was costing me $15. I took a huge loss on it. And I went over to, I actually went over to Pirate Ship and I checked it there and I was like, man, it's so much cheaper. So the next time it happened, I was like, something's not right. Cause it says he can accept USPS, but it's not giving me the option. Pirate Ship is saying I could ship it for $3. Why is this? And so I just left it alone. Like I'm walking away from this. And I came back the next morning and saw that it was back to cheap. So yeah, they do something, some kind of syncing or something. It doesn't always happen, but when it does, when it comes back as a crazy amount, like of stuff that I know ships for, $4, I'll just, I'm going to wait till tomorrow. And yeah. 90% of the time it comes back as, no, this will ship for, $4 or something like that. So there's something they do, some syncing they do or something at the night that messes it up.
How many shipping templates do you have or do you use? Do you charge for shipping? And do you like adjust them throughout, or how do you do all that?
So most of my shipping goes to my graded shipping template, which is like the generic one Amazon gives you. The majority do because I buy my stuff with shipping planned in. I've got a really good head for how much things are going to cost. Like I can kind of hand weigh it. Like this is under £1. I know it's going to be $4 pretty much everywhere, maybe $5.40 to ship to like California or something like that. And since I'm in Texas, kind of right in the middle, so I know a lot about where things are going to ship. So most of my orders are free shipping to the customer, but the shipping is built into the price too. I calculate it in with my profit. I do have about, I don't know, 5 other templates. Those are mainly like aerosol cans that can't ship second day air or whatever. I don't want to get any infractions with that. So I have special ones that are compressed air or whatever that I have a special template for. There's some that are just a little heavier that I don't want to ship to Puerto Rico. I've taken those off. So I have some that are just like mainly for the United States or whatever, or they at least add on a pretty significant for like Hawaii, Puerto Rico, those outer ones, like they have, I don't know, I can't remember what it is, like $10.99 plus $1 per pound or something like that, where it'll help pay for it, offset the cost. So there's a couple I have like that. I think that's about it. I think I have another zone template that I use for heavier stuff. Like when I ship chocolates during the summer season, those can get really heavy. Some of those I have like zone templates where it's like, $6.99 per pound or $6.99 plus $1 per pound extra or something.
I forgot to say this earlier, but it's interesting that you had a chase, right? The soap. And that's kind of what led you to like figure out FBM. And that was me too. Like I had done FBM here and there, mostly during Q4, but really when, in like February and March 2020, before we knew what COVID was going to end up being, and we just assumed everyone was freaking out over nothing. And hand sanitizer was just like going for crazy money. And I found a box of like 60 at Ollie's. And I was like, well, here we go. We're going to figure it out. And they literally, I put them up. They sold out of my cart. Literally, I hadn't even checked out. And meanwhile, I'm just hoping that Ollie's lets me take them all because I didn't know. And so it was funny because I was in Waco, Texas. I always feel bad for Waco because I did clear them out of all of their cold medicine at those weeks. But it was crazy. I made like $15,000 profit in a week just going around Waco getting everything. And so that really helped out because, we then shut down for a couple months and I couldn't source because the stores were closed. So it did carry me through. But it was a chase where you're like, it's too good not to do it. And so you learn on the fly. Yeah. And I knew it all. By the time my first Q4 rolled around, I'd already been FBMing most of my stuff from like, May through November or whatever. So I was well prepared for that. Yeah, I'm always every year. I'm like, all right, I know you guys are scared. I was too, but you got to learn it because something is going to come along. And if you didn't learn it, you're going to learn it on the fly, which is not bad, but it can be costly if you don't have it done right.
Yeah. And there were so many finds in the Q4 group you had, the Bolo group, where they were like, this is doing well for me. And then it would go on sale and Amazon was out of stock on a certain toy or whatever. And it would go on sale at Target like the same time Amazon. And because I had the Bolos and because I knew how to FBM, I was able to, there was one toy I know I sold at least 50 of over one weekend because of both the Bolo group and already knowing how to FBM. And if I hadn't had that combination, I would have lost out on all those 50 toys. So it's worth it to know how to FBM.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the same thing. The Q4 before, I was the same way. I was like, someone had posted in the Q4 group of Bolo, and I was like, okay, I'll keep an eye out. And I never really saw it for a while. Then all of a sudden I saw it, and there was, a whole end cap at Walmart. And I'm like, here we go. Like, it's a lot of fun.
Right? It is. Yeah. Yeah. There was some Melissa and Doug Dennis sets that are not selling for a profit anymore, but over Christmas, man, every time I saw them at Target, because Target would do those like 1-day sales where they drop it down to, there was some I paid $7.64 for, and I was selling them for like $30. It was a nice little turnaround.
So what are some of the struggles that you've had just either being a business owner or just trying to juggle it all, anything like that?
Right. Okay. There's a few. My first is bookkeeping is a big one for me. I am not super good at coming back and logging my receipts in Inventory Lab. So there's been a lot of things where my mom helps me quite a bit, but if you've ever looked at a receipt, you know that they can be totally not helpful at all. Like it'll say just the brand name and not specifically what it was. And if I'm buying like 5 flavors of one item, just seeing the brand name is not helpful, especially if like it's a bundle or something. Back in June, when my mom started helping me out, we had talked about, like, okay, you're going to log mileage, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And one of the things that we talked about on all the receipts was we'd do mileage, we'd scan it into my Google Drive because I sort by date for the Google Drive. So I scanned my receipts in, and then she was going to update Inventory Lab with all of my replenishments because there's quite a few things I replenish. And then she would use my little SKU code to input the new stuff I was buying. Somewhere along the way, about August, she forgot about the Inventory Lab. So she was doing the mileage and she was doing the scanning, and then they were going into a drawer. So yeah, it's tax time now, and I'm still doing bookkeeping from last year because I had to go back and find all these replenishments, and for the most part is fairly easy. Like I can go back and look for that receipt and do it, but there's quite a few bundles I had where it's like four different flavors in one bundle. And I got a little bit from Amazon Business, a little bit from, Kroger, a little bit from, this sell at Walgreens. So I've got to find, oh my gosh, yeah. So stay on top of your receipts, do them when you get them, when you have that fresh memory, or at least like I'm starting to do Post-its. I carry Post-its around with me and slap it on the receipt as a reminder, like this is something they had to ring up manually because the clearance sticker wouldn't work. So it just says grocery NFS $3. I'm not going to remember that 3 months from now. I'm probably not going to remember it 3 weeks from now. So having Post-its on the receipts is helping me. That's one of my biggest struggles is keeping up with all of the back end of it. And then, time management is a struggle for everybody, I know. But I mean, I'm homeschool mama. I work 2 jobs. My dad got in a wreck in December and he's in a nursing home now. So I've basically taken over the accounting and just all of this stuff with him. So there is so much stuff that life can throw at you. And you got to eat the elephant one bite at a time. I am not perfect at it. There are days when I'm like texting my Christian girlfriends, like, I need help right now. And they send me, scriptures or whatever, to help me through because I still get way overwhelmed, but it's just taking one bite at a time, one step at a time, keep moving forward. And it works. I mean, it all works and it's all worth it because I get extra time with my kids and I have a fun job that I love. So
I'm sorry to hear about your dad, but it's good that you have people you can rely on. I talked about this in another thing, but I'm always talking about like having a community, whether that's a neighbor or someone close by, or whether that's people online who understand like what you're going through, who is in a nice place, not like some of those online communities are a little rude, but it's not like a community because having other people to talk to and like that support system. And I know for some people it's easier to reach out than other people, but it's really awesome that you have that just support system surrounding you because you are doing a whole lot on your own. And so,
yeah, having people to talk to and just say even I'm a little overwhelmed or just be able to vent about, this customer just sent me back this, like, what is this, and having like-minded people that can be like, are you kidding me? It's awesome to be able to do that with other people that are good people,
Yep. There's nothing quite like that sound of a new order coming through on your Amazon account. But do you know how much you're actually making on those orders? Your Selling Podcast is excited to partner with Sellerboard. Sellerboard is an accurate profit analytics for Amazon sellers as well as eBay. With just a quick login to the app or your dashboard on a desktop, you can see what your true numbers are for all of your Amazon orders by the day, week, or month. I love to use it to forecast out how I'm going to do that month and use it for my planning. Sellerboard doesn't just tell you your profit, though. They actually do so much more. So if you're creating a private label listing or you're making your own bundles, you can use Sellerboard to get reviews for your product pages. Sellerboard is a robust profit analytics tool, and I use it every day in my Amazon business. You can try Sellerboard yourself, connect it to your Amazon or eBay accounts, and see how it works for you. Get 2 months free by going to yoursellingguide.com/sellerboardprofit. Again, that's yoursellingguide.com/sellerboardprofit. Try Sellerboard today and get the true profit picture of how your business is doing. Okay, so I know you told me in like the little pre-interview thing that there are some stores you don't like. So I want to hear about the stores you do like, or like what your favorites are. And then I want to know why you don't like some of these other stores.
Okay. Well, honestly, okay, because of time restraints, I wanted to hit up the stores that were closest to me. So this was my favorite stores are really more about time saving. I started hitting like Kroger. Kroger is really close to my house. It's like, less than a 10-minute drive. So because I have my kids at home and because I'm homeschooling and doing all this other stuff, I don't want to drive 3 hours round trip trying to hit up all the, TJ Maxx's and Marshalls and stuff like that. So I started doing Kroger and I got really good at Kroger, so I started, once I started seeing what was doing well at Kroger and what, I could branch out on, I could find like the little rabbit trails. Then I could, okay, this is doing well. So now their sales cycles run for 2 weeks straight. So now I'm not only hitting the Kroger that's right next to me. Now I know I can go hit all the Krogers around me in like, a 30-mile radius, but I know exactly what I'm going for in the store. So that Kroger run is, in and out kind of thing, not me scanning the whole aisle. So Kroger's a good one for me. I love Tuesday Morning. It's so organized. And it's another one that I know generally the products I like to look for there. I won't scan the whole store. I can't do that. I can't scan the whole store. But then again, when you go to Tuesday Morning and you find something that works, well, there's like 4 within a driving radius of me. So I can go just replenish those. I like stores where I can repeat the process over and over and over, which is why I don't like TJ Maxx or Marshalls or Ross. They're messy and unorganized. I mean, TJ Maxx and Home Goods are okay, but even then, their stores are a lot more spread out. So if you find something that'll do well, chances are really good that it's only that one item you're going to do well on. I could try to go to the TJ Maxx 40 minutes away and maybe find it. But at least Tuesday Morning, they have like the product checker. You can look up the number and see, is it at that store before you go out there, like at the bottom of their website. So I like that, but you can't really do that with TJ.
I did not know that. So now you've just dropped something.
Did you not?
Yeah. No, so explain. Yeah. So it's on the website?
Yeah. So on there, they have like a 6-digit or 7-digit product number, and you can go on the website and there's like a product finder and it'll tell you if it's at that store. It's not always accurate. Like there was one item that somebody shared in the Bolo group that she had sold like over the weekend or whatever. And one of the stores I had said they had like 1. I got there, they had 12. So I got all 12.
Wow.
But yeah, you can totally look up by the product number what they have there, which you can't do with TJ Maxx or Marshalls. And the Tuesday mornings, no, awesome. Not at all.
That's an awesome tip.
And I'm, you can tell I'm a little heavier. So scanning over and over and over in an aisle, just standing still is just not something I love to do. So in TJ Maxx and Marshalls, those are ones you really have to scan like everything. I'm sure you get in a groove where you know what stuff will do well. Like I'm not going to scan, I'm just going to say perfumes as a random example. I don't even know, but because they just don't sell for me or whatever. But I am going to scan all of these, storage containers for me because they always sell. So at least I know this genre of stuff is something that might hit. Yeah, I like Tuesday Morning. I like Kroger. I do hit up Tom Thumb every once in a while. Those local type stores that have stuff that not everybody can get. I like those.
That is, so I'm always talking about, because people will be like, does it still work? Like there's so many people doing it and everything like that. And I'm like, but what people don't understand is like, I don't source, not only because there's not Kroger's here, but I don't source those kind of stores. Like I'm not going to go through my grocery stores, but I know Kroger is like a lot bigger than just groceries, but those aren't stores that I like. But I do like TJ Maxx and Marshalls, and it's like there's something out there for everyone. Everyone's going to source different things. They're going to source a little bit of what they like, and hopefully, after a while, if you keep getting dead ends on what you like, you got to expand and go to another area of something that you would never scan. But it works because there is so much stuff out there for everyone, and everyone gets their own groove. I talk about this all the time, that I've run into resellers, and the guy was
scanning Hot Wheels. I do not scan Hot Wheels. That is not something I want to spend my time looking up while I'm standing there in the store. So I don't do it, but he does it and he does great. And so there's just always something for everyone. So I like hearing that. I like talking to other sellers for that specific reason, that you get to hear, and maybe someone's, going to scan storage containers now that they wouldn't have. So that's great.
Right. Yeah. No, I really would encourage you, like, instead of, I don't know, for me, doing Kroger specifically was a product of just needing to save time. So I had to become an expert at it. I'll call myself an expert, but I had to become good at it because I needed to find somewhere close that I could source. And the more I did, the more I got better at it. So, I mean, you could totally just pick your local store. I read one lady who goes to 7-Eleven. And like, she literally sources at 7-Eleven. So, I mean, any store you could find profitable stuff at. There's millions of products on Amazon that, hey, we might have it here. That special flavor of candy is in Texas, but you can't find it anywhere else. We're in Dr. Pepper country. So you want Dr. Pepper, whatever, I can probably find it where you might not be able to find that in New York or California. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you could totally niche it out on a specific store or on a specific, localized stuff. So, I mean, I really love that about Amazon, that no, there's opportunities out there still today. Lots of them.
Yeah. Do you have any tools or software that you like or that you use that have helped you kind of make your business life easier?
There is Keepa is like, I don't know how you can be on Amazon without using Keepa. So for me, Keepa is a must-have. Inventory Lab is another one. I have a love-hate relationship with it. Partly because of my bookkeeping problems, but for what it has on it, it's phenomenal. So Inventory Lab is one I would recommend to anybody. I just started dabbling with Wave, which is kind of like a free QuickBooks. So I can't really give a heartfelt recommendation, but so far it's super user friendly. And I like that it's totally free. Those are the ones I use all the time. I really like this lady, Nikki Kirk's Bolo groups too. No, I'm kidding. That's not software.
But she does, though. You can find her in it.
Right. So no, the main ones I use are Inventory Lab and Keepa. And those are the ones I honestly don't know how you could do Amazon selling without those two. I use Google Drive a lot too. I know that's not software per se, but it makes it so easy to organize all your receipts. Oh, you told us about Google Keep, and that has become awesome for me. Like, because I can do stuff on my computer, like while I'm researching Keepa or whatever, I can actually make a little bolo list for myself, and it pulls up on my phone. And before I was trying to keep notes in Notepad, and that was not working at all. So Google Keep is another one that I would say it's totally free, but man, being able to make a checklist and make notes for myself while I'm at the store, like, hey, look this up, see if it looks good before I buy something or whatever. And just the accessibility of it on my laptop and phone and everywhere makes Google Keep something that I would recommend strongly as well.
I use it a lot to just keep track of what I'm looking for at each store. I go through the bolo list and I'll be like, okay, I want to look for this. And then I have what I'm selling and finding, and I have this. And it really, I mean, I've been using that since I started, really, and it's been really helpful.
Yeah, I'm super thankful for the recommendation from you.
Okay, so you actually use Inventory Lab for your FBM stuff, which is something that I don't think a lot of people do. I don't do it, but is it pretty easy to use?
I like it. First of all, their Scout app is really good for tracking, profit and stuff like that. I think y'all use Seller Board or whatever for something similar, but I use the Scout app, which is built into Inventory Lab. But Inventory Lab, I have a couple of different ways I do it. Mostly I enter my inventory into Amazon directly, and I use kind of a code for it. It's like, store -date -buy price and some random number I pick out. So when I go back in Inventory Lab, I kind of have that information to plug in the initial buy. And then you can click the information little box out to the far right of that, and it tracks all the orders on one screen. So I can see the order number from Amazon. I can see my profit. I can see all of it in just one snapshot screen. So for me, that's been invaluable, just to be able to see that all on one screen. I can see, oh my gosh, this did really well for me. Why didn't I go back and buy more? Or vice versa. So I like doing that. And then it also lets you add replenishments. So I can see, even with over time. Like say, this first set of a bundle I got on one of Kroger's loss leader sales, so it was like 99 cents a bottle or something like that. Well, the next time I replenished, I got it for $1.79. Well, that replenishment line too, I'll go back and add that replenishment in with that buy cost, and I can click that little information. There's like a little eye icon on the far right. I can click it and it'll show all of my profit for those that I paid that much for. So for me, it's been a great tool for tracking all my FBM stuff because I can quickly see, hey, how much am I making a profit for now that I have all the shipping information and everything in there, because it pulls it all up on one screen.
There's so much to Inventory Lab that I know. I mean, I've been using it for probably 2 years now. I can't remember exactly, but I've been using it for a while for just my FBA shipments. And I do use the reporting sometimes, but it's insane how much it could do. And I still feel like I'm just scratching the surface of it. So
me too.
I mean, I didn't know about any of that.
Yeah, no, it's just clicking around in there. I still feel like there's so much I don't know about it, but yeah, I just happen to randomly find that because you wouldn't even think, but it's a little tiny eye at the very end back there where it updates. Like, when you change the quantity, it'll say 3 in this box, and then the box next to it automatically updates to whatever you have on hand. And there's a little information icon right next to it that if you click, it'll pull up all the orders associated with that ASIN. But yeah, random stuff like that I find because I know, probably 20% of inventory,
Yeah.
maybe 30.
If you had to pick just one thing, what is the best thing about being like either selling on Amazon or just being a business owner in general?
That's a great question. I don't know that I have an answer. I really like the variety of it. Like, there's things that you get good at over time because you get experience with it, but because the chase is always different, it adds a little fun element to it. So I really like that. I do, for the most part, can schedule out my time however I want to, which I like, which is 2 answers. So I guess I'll stop there. But I think I like the variety a lot. Like I can do what I want with it. If I want to stop selling whatever, I can move on to a different thing and find other successes. I mean, I like the variety of it. It makes it interesting to do every day.
Yep. It's something different. So you don't really ever get bored.
No, those chases are fun.
Yeah. I'm going to have to say, okay, but it can't be taxes. Is there one of the things that you like least about it?
Okay. If it can't be like bookkeeping and taxes, because we already talked about, my downfalls with those. FBM specifically would be customer service. For the most part, I'm like grocery all the way, which has very little returns. It's one of the biggest perks about selling groceries. But there has been stuff I've sold that are not groceries, and even groceries too, where people are just weird, sending back stuff that, like I've shared before in the group. I got one of those Dr. Squatch soaps back, clearly used, clearly body hair on it. That's some weird stuff that you get back. Like,
oh my gosh.
It was bad. So I did get the safety claim on that one. They gave that to me. But and even now I've got like one OTC medicine, which I got auto ungated in. I was never selling OTC because I just didn't feel like I was doing well with that grocery, but all of a sudden I got auto ungated. But there was one item that the lady's like, it's brown and it's supposed to be yellow. So I don't know, just dealing with customers on that. I know it comes with the territory, but it's not my favorite thing. Having to explain to them, no, you can't get your money back because you decided you didn't want it. Like that's not. I'm not a huge corporation like Amazon. I know I sell on Amazon, but I don't have the money to just let you have this $30 item free. Sorry. And then with FBM too, just still in the line of the returns, but when they return something and they bought it again, like there was one lady over Christmas that I shipped a giant horse to, and it cost me $30 to ship it to her. And then she's like, well, I need you to ship it to this address because I accidentally put it on my address and I need to ship it to my granddaughter. And I was like, it's already gone. I can't do that. So then as soon as she got it, she returned it. So I had to pay that $30 shipping return. So totally ate up all the profit. So that's a downfall to FBM, especially big items. Like if you have to eat the return cost of the shipping too, like a lot of times that eats up your whole profit. So yeah, customers and returns are stinky parts of the business, no matter if you're doing FBM or FBA, but FBM, you have to deal with the customer. So those will probably be my least favorite if you don't count bookkeeping.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed, like, obviously during Q4 in January, but that seems to be, for me anyways, when all of my, like, just bad customers come out. Like, there's a lot of returns, but then they're just, like, bad. Like, it's just kind of ridiculous. Have you noticed that too, or do you get some throughout the year?
A little bit. I mean, I honestly had a really good Q4. Like, so much of my stuff is grocery that I didn't have the whole, what do they call it? Returnuary, where like January is big on returns. I did sell some toys and I did get some to return, but it wasn't a crazy amount. And most of them seemed like legit people, like, hey, my kid got 2 of these or whatever, so it wasn't too bad. And I was able to turn around and sell it again. It wasn't like they returned it used or something. So for the most part, Q4 wasn't too bad for me. It didn't bring out all the crazies. Mine had been just throughout the year, just random people, sending me stuff back. Like I had, one of my big chases last year was those, I'm going to forget the name, Egg-mazing decorating kits that sell year round. So hint, look for clearance soon. And she said that I sent her a counterfeit. I did not. I sent her something directly from Target. I have the receipt to prove it. Well, she sent me, I'm going to get it for you. Look at this. She sent me back this random, I don't know if she bought this from somebody else or I don't know what this is, but this is not what I sent her. I mean, I'm trying to get the camera. Maging? What is that? Maging?
Wow.
Maging? I don't know if you want me to sharing products, but the Egg-mazing one is the legit brand. And it's a great seller. It gets hardly any returns. I swear that was like the only return I had on that. And she returned me this counterfeit. So I don't know. I can't even tell you the story on that. But to answer your question, no, Q4 wasn't too bad. I feel like I was really blessed with not having super crazy, terrible customers. It's just been throughout the year where I get just random people.
Yep. What is a piece of advice for anyone who's interested or starting selling on Amazon that you would give?
There are so many YouTube videos out there that will really help you get started. So start out taking YouTube University because there's a lot of really good people out there like Nikki that will tell you the real lowdown on what you're getting into. Don't be swayed by the people that are doing the, get rich quick kind of things. Those people don't have your best interest at heart. They're not really like trying to help you start a business. They're trying to further their business. So if there's more in what they're saying for them, for you watching them or whatever, steer away from those and go back to the ones that really clearly are trying to give you information you can actually use. Those are the ones that are really out there to help you. And there's a few of them. Nikki's one of them that, man, you can just watch a slew of videos and learn so much. Then once you start learning, put it into practice, you're going to learn way more by actually doing than just by watching. And then those videos will just supplement your knowledge as you go. So just jump into it. I know I started out with setting up an LLC. I think that was a good move on my part. I don't know if everybody does that, but I liked having it as a business from the get-go. I started out with all my equipment from the get-go. I know a lot of people don't do that. They start out like printing labels on their computer and stuff like that. And I started out with the Rolo printer and with like, I really wanted to treat it as like, this is my business. I'm going to be serious about it. That was good for me. I like that I just jumped into it. I've made mistakes. I've made costly mistakes, but for the most part, it's all washed out. And, with YouTube help, like from people that really know what they're doing, that really want to help, that's been a huge benefit. But yeah, jump in with both feet, start doing it and watch YouTube as you go, like the good ones, and just go for it. Can't make money tomorrow, you're not starting today.
That is really true because I was the same way. I got everything up front. Like I was all in. This wasn't like a wishy-washy thing. I wanted to make it work because I needed something to make money on the road. And this sounded like fun and I thought I could do it. And so I went all in. But I think that mentality of just deciding. You can try it out and see, but it's like you plan to fail, or whatever that saying is. Like, if you think you're not sure it's going to work and that's your attitude as you do it, it probably won't work for you. But if you're like, no, I'm going to make this work. And if it proves it doesn't work, it doesn't work if you really tried, but it should work for you, and you'll make mistakes and they might cost you money. But as long as you're on the road to, I'm going to make this work, you should be good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I this is a total segue, but I really, just for the costly mistakes or whatever, I'm a really big proponent of the go wide, not deep. There's been very few things where I've bought like hundreds of an item. Most of the time I'm buying, like there are some items I've sold hundreds of, but that's after I've proven it's a consistent seller and it's just one I keep going back to. But for the most part, I'll buy, like 6 as a test buy. Hey, it does well, I'm going to go buy 6 more. And because I do sell from home, I don't need to stock up big time. Kroger, the sales cycles repeat for 2 weeks. So I can get as much as I can while it's at that low price for 2 weeks. There's no reason for me to go out and buy hundreds of them. Plus with Kroger, because y'all know that's one of my favorites, the sales cycles repeat, so the same stuff is going to be on sale in like 3 months. So I can buy enough to kind of last me for 3 months, or what I hope will provide a little bit of income for 3 months, and then go back in 3 months and it'll be on sale again. So there's no reason to go super, super deep and lose your hat on, I bought 100 of this toy that suddenly I'm gated in. But there's going to be mistakes you make. And if you go wide and not deep, the mistakes won't pull you under. You'll just, hey, I paid $150 to learn this lesson. Now I'm moving on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you are a member of the YSG community on Facebook, you can find Stacy Ray there. She's in the group, she's in the Bolo groups, and she's in the ungated groups. And thank you so much for coming on. I learned so much just from chatting with you, but I also just love hearing your Amazon journey and how Amazon works for you. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to review this podcast wherever it is you listen to podcasts, and you can check out the video on Your Selling Podcast on YouTube. If you have any questions or you think you'd be a great guest, please email me at podcast@yoursellingguide.com. And as always, you can check out all things Amazon on my website, yoursellingguide.com. Until next week, happy sourcing.